Welcome again. These weeks are going by really fast. Another surf report for basically last week of November, but you're going to see, because we have that one day in December in our surf week, we're going to be going through the whole month of December. And wait until you see December. Holy cow. Okay, so we got an eclipse coming up. That's not in this surf week, but it's going to be a factor. I've got a weird little diagram here. Oh, you know what? I forgot my pointer. Let me get that started. All right. Where shall we start? The I-Ching this week says pushing upward. And that gave me sort of a growth, sort of a feeling. It's an air of positivity. I'm thinking along the lines of Jupiter, Sagittarius. So that's commensurate with the total solar eclipse is coming. That's going to be in Sag, tropical Sag. But we have this really hidden piece here in the astrology, and that's why I have this sort of black shadow square, because it's the dark area of, not dark as in bad or evil, but it's more obscure. And we have Pluto, which is in Capricorn. That's going to matter because of this. The green is the earth because it's in the dream bot. And we got the inner world and the outer world. Yeah, I know this is really sort of it's complex, but it's really overlapped well with the influence. And wait until you see the solution. It's super tight. So it's very clear about what the influence is going to be and what the solution. That's the more important of the two. Section 2 of this video, if you're new here, is more important in my opinion, because it shows what actions to actually take. The first part's important too, to know what sort of energies are coming and how you might be feeling, how other people might be feeling. Okay, so we have the eclipse coming, but that's next surf week. It's a small factor this week. We have Pluto and Capricorn, which is going to make a really, really interesting patterned conjunction with Venus. And Venus is going to make a sextile with Mars, or it already is. Now, the really hidden, powerful alignment that's coming in December is Pluto sextile Mars, because we got both of those, which is the inner power and the outer power. We talked about earlier in the year when they were squared. So your inner power is differentiated from the outer power, and talked about what that means. But now there's an opportunity coming with these two powerhouses. And the Pluto part is in the dark space, the inner part, the subconscious. That's what the inner power is called. Or that's where, maybe even call it the superconscious, because there's, in some theories, when you go through the subconscious to get to the superconscious, that's where the creativity is. That's where the life-changing insights are, that kind of thing. But to get there, you have to go through all the old memories of the subconscious. So trauma, potentially, all the other emotions. Oh boy, I am getting off on a tangent, I think. So Dreambot, this is interesting. We'll talk about that. The outer world, what you can see appears to be really negative, but the inner world appears to be happy and pleasant. That matches with the pushing upward. It's a perfect correlation there. And then we have the collective in there. So anyway, I'm putting all that together, and because it's coming from this dark space, like the positive inner world is also in this black, darker area, hidden area. I should say hidden, not the dark, but the hidden area. And so it looks like the early signs of transformation. It's kind of sort of like a seedling that's poking its head out of the cracked earth, right? That's the overview. We also have Mercury Kazemi this week. There's a lot going on. Let's go. But wait, might as well settle in, get something to drink. because this might be a little bit longer. We're going to be looking through the whole month of December, because the patterns that we're going to see throughout December and the things that are coming are actually starting now. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, just a couple of comments and over on Rumble. If you haven't been over to Rumble, please let's just head over there and hit the up arrow. We're doing great over there, by the way. And just to help the algorithm out over there, if you don't mind, and then hit the up arrow here over at YouTube. Over on Rumble, not for me to say, says something that I think we should be looking for basically all the time, is in their personal experience where they live. They're talking about the AT&T and thought that there was a particular action that's coming, and it was based on the Dreambot. And so my point is that he talks about what that Dreambot might be manifesting in his particular experience, and I think that's great. Should all be doing that, because the Dreambot does represent what we're creating as a collective. And by the way, as you talk about what sorts of things might be manifesting in your life from the Dreambot, that also could be seeds for or predicting what could be looking at for the collective. So, and then Sarita says, time for people to get loud. This is over on Telegram. Time for people to get loud. We are the human race. Gaia belongs to us. We are born free, and freedom we shall have. That one got reposted because it's a battle cry. I love it. The game is afoot. Shout out to Mike for commenting there on YouTube. No one you know says your opening Venn diagram could be sort of eclipse. I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right. I could have overlapped just that little portion on the edge to represent the actual eclipse, because it wasn't a total eclipse. But the one coming up in December, the solar eclipse, will be a total eclipse. It's a polar eclipse, by the way. None of us are going to see it. And we'll go through that. But the winner this week, let us see it now. The pendulum must swing both ways. Evil has run amok in this world. It's time. It's love's turn to rule. Amen, sister. All right, this is just November. We're on the right side of this line, this vertical line here. Let me darken it up a little bit. So there's not much to talk about. All the events from November have happened, but buckle up, Buttercup. Look at when we get into December. Holy mackerel. All right. So we probably won't even talk about this because there's so much else to talk about. But Neptune this week is going to start going direct, which means Uranus is the only retrograde planet. We have Saturn square Uranus, which is the big, the biggest meme this year in terms of why there's so much conflict and protesting and idealization and desire for freedom and all that stuff is right here. And it's going to peak. It's going to climax on the 24th. That just happens to be, right around Christmas. So max protest, you do. Okay. So pro move. I put a note on here. You do not have to be a part of this. Oh, you don't have to be a part of this conflict. You can just notice it and be the observer. It's a good place to be around Christmas time, is just be the observer in it, but don't be surprised when the rest of the world is clamoring in protest and burning everything down. Jupiter towards the end is going to be transitioning into Pisces. That's a whole new feel after leaving Aquarius. What I didn't put on there is Mars is switching over to Sag. This is later on. This is not this week, because this week ends, my CIRF week ends on this line. So at the very beginning of December. But I wanted to give you a heads up because look at this. So you've got Venus conjunct Pluto. This is the red line. It goes exact on the 11th. And this is important because this conjunction, as you can see, the red here in our CIRF week is already started. So there's technically in a conjunction, but it's not perfect. It goes perfect on the 11th. And this is going to be an upheaval in relationship potentially. This is going to be revolutionizing the way that you handle peace and harmony, the way that you relate to people. And guess what then? Then Venus is going to go retrograde right here, because Venus goes retrograde under my cursor, and that's going to create another perfect conjunction. Then Venus is going to go backwards, back through Pluto, and then it's going to reverse, and I think it's March something. We'll talk about it, but she's gonna come back again for a third upheaval. And so this repeating upheaval and hiccups in the marketplace, finance, hiccups in your relationships, but there's also this golden seed of transformation. It feels like the end. Pluto feels like the end, but it's actually the beginning, that sort of thing. That's this. And it's with Venus. And Venus in the retrograde section is going to be retrograde during the Christmas time frame or the holiday season. So that should be interesting too. Sun then is eventually going to go into Capricorn. All right, you ready to get started? First, how about a trivia question? I'm going to answer this a little bit later. But how long after December 24th, 2021, will there be the next Saturn square Uranus? That's a trivia question. What do you think? When will be the next one? How common are these? So at the end, we'll talk about that. But that is, we've been talking about every week this year, basically, and it's going to be going exact just before Christmas. All right, Thursday, it's 25th. Look at all these notes. Where do I begin? First of all, look at this. It looks like a grand cross, right? Well, it's not quite a grand cross. It's a little bit off. The orbs are a little bit too large, up to 9 degrees. So just barely off of a grand cross. But, you get the energies there. It's very conflicted. It's not a perfect one, but there are the 4 sides of conflict. And one of those is a strengthening Saturn square Uranus is right here. Let's see here. We have the secret power alignment. And I say secret because we got so much else going on. We're in between solar eclipse. We're in between eclipses. We have the conjunct with Venus, but this is a thing right now. We have Pluto sextile Mars, and they're both rulers in Scorpio. Mars is in Scorpio. So there's this very powerful alignment, and it's in a sextile, so it's an opportunity. It represents an opportunity. And that power is seated this week because it started. This alignment started. Now, it's not exact, but Pluto's going to be a central theme this week. I'm going to hammer in that Pluto feeling, and this is very connected with the I-Ching of, this pushing upward, the rising phoenix possibly, but the very early signs of that. The other thing we got to talk about this week is Mercury combust, because it's already combust here on Thursday, the 25th of November. And what that means is Mercury's within 8 degrees of the sun. So it's being said to be overshined or whatever. And do I have another? Yes, I have another one here. No, what am I? Oh, okay. So we have a combust and we have a Cazimi in a couple days. All right. But I wanted to look at this conjunction of Venus and Pluto. So Venus is going direct, and on December 11th, it's going to go perfectly conjunct with Pluto. Then it's going to go retrograde, and then on Christmas Day, it's going to go perfectly conjunct again with Pluto at 25 degrees Capricorn. So the 25th of December, is there any coincidence? Is it like these things just pop out at me? This is important, I think. The 25th on 25th, and we're going to go through the rave on this. But what does this mean? This means that you're going to see several upheaval. It's almost like a transformation first, and then as Venus goes retrograde through it, you're going to be like retreat back, and then a retransformation. Or many of you might feel 3 separate transformations in this area of goal-oriented relationships. Do you know how many relationships are having problems in my caseloads of clients? It's like just about everybody. So then March 22nd, I have a diagram. This is what it's going to look like on March 22nd. Look at that. It's only opportunity. And you can see Venus with Pluto here, the 27 degrees of Capricorn, and Mars is right there too. So it's a beautiful Capricorn energy. Very powerful, very opportunistic. This is right after a Pisces new moon. Excuse me, hiccuping. More sextiles over here. But look how clean this is. This is the world post square. Let's see, Saturn square Uranus. They are just out of, they're just on the outer edge of that square. I mean, minutes away from ending that old square. So it really dies out somewhere around March 3rd. And we've got a clean chart by then. All right. Something to look forward to. All right. Back to Friday, the 26th. We got Mercury's getting closer to the sun. So the thoughts are getting even more washed out. Confusion, more feels like brain fog, might translate into confusion, but might even leak into your motivation because thoughts are occluded, not maybe interconflicted. And so to make matters worse, squared off to the moon, which takes you out of any communication with your emotions or conflicted with your emotions. So that creates even more confusion, conflict. We have Saturn counting down with Uranus on this perfect square. We're only at 3 degrees-ish right now. And we have, I wanted to point out that the sun is parallel with Mercury, meaning they're in the same elevation, same height on the sky. And so they're going to be perfectly in that space. They're going to go over the top of each other when that goes Cazimi. Saturday, the 27th. It's not there's any less going on in the sky. It's all the same things that I've talked about. Mercury getting even closer, and then Cazimi. Sunday, excuse me. Sunday, the 28th. We have Mercury Cazimi, and that goes from, if you're in the central time zone, 10:31 a.m. meaning that Mercury is in 17 minutes of the sun. And so this is like a super mind. This is, so you get, as you get closer to the sun, it sort of washes you out and shines bright, and you don't even really have that asset much anymore. Like, and so in this case, like thoughts and communication, short-term travel is difficult, but now in Cazimi, it's sort of the reverse. You're in the eye of the sun, and this was when you have a rare opportunity, powerful thoughts, powerful insight, extra creative, and that's going to be from 10 a.m., so roughly 24 hours. So on the 28th at 10:30 a.m. Central, to 29th, 10:48 a.m. Central. Okay, so that's the theme there. On Sunday, this is an opportunity. Some people want you to, like get into states of meditation and really let those thoughts flow. So it represents a big opportunity, especially now you have sextile over to Saturn. So there's an opportunity with learning from the old wise man in Aquarius for a collective concern, what should be done. There's an opportunity there to ascertain that. But careful trying to get logical guidance outside of this 24-hour period. During the Cazimi, quiet your mind and get the download. Outside of this 24 hours of this Cazimi, outside of that 24 hours, it feels like driving into someone's headlights. What that feels like. It's hard and you want to slow down. That's exactly what the combust feels like outside of the Cazimi period. Monday, the 29th, you have a double clutched sextile. And these are starting to get numerous and strong. And so on Monday, the 29th, you're looking for the power. Let's see. Where did I? Yeah, there. It's hidden in there. I'd like to zoom, but then it would take me forever to zoom back. There's the Venus sextile Mars. There's the Pluto sextile Mars. There's two in there. And then there's the Saturn that I just talked about with Mercury and Sun. And then the moon's making a couple more opportunities. This is a big part of the overall influence, the pushing upward. I don't know if you can see that. Tuesday, the 30th. Just more opportunities. We got our standard squares. We have the same amount of sextiles as squares in this case. So it's sort of like a day where you focus your attention. You're going to have enough to confuse you with conflict or take your attention with conflict, and another influence is taking you to like opportunities. So it's like the half glass empty sort of a feel. You get to choose which version you're seeing because they're both there. All right, the last day on Wednesday, welcome to December. Now is when I talk about some of the other things. This is the overview is that we're getting close to a new moon, and this new moon is in parallel with each other, which means that we've got the moon eclipsing the sun. And now that's not today, that's not Wednesday, that's going to be on the 4th. So we have December 4th is the total eclipse. It's going to be a powerful energy, sustained powerful energy for 6 months time period. And then December 6th, we have Mars going exact with a sextile with Pluto. So very, very powerful. And this will all be in the next CIRF report. So expect it. I'm showing it. I'm presenting this now partly because this Pluto influence is starting now, and it's a pivotal part of everything we talked about. We talked about the Venus aspect and those repeating patterns coming. We also talked about the power, the very hidden, powerful sextile alignment with Pluto and Mars, and it all hinges on this Pluto in Capricorn. So that's going to become our main focus as we get into the solution. But I'm pointing this out now because we have that polar solar eclipse. And even though, as you can see, the only people who are going to see it are in Antarctica. And, but just because you can't see it does not mean that you're not going to be influenced by it. Right? So the total solar eclipse of December 4th visits only the continent of Antarctica during the austral summer 6 months prior. The annular solar eclipse of June 10th began in southern Canada, traversed Greenland, and passed over the North Pole before ending over eastern Siberia. So the year of 2021 is neatly bracketed by 2 polar solar eclipses. And here's what it looks like. We'll talk more extensively next week, but because it's big, I want to give you a heads up. There is a lot of congestion here, a lot of squares. We have the sun and the moon conjunct perfectly parallel, because that's what has to happen in order for the moon to eclipse the sun. And it's at 12 degrees Sag, 22 minutes. And it's roughly at 1:42 a.m. Central Time. And it's in Sag. So this whole cycle, this whole eclipse stamp, if you will, on the next cycle of eclipses is about wisdom, but also non-attachment, freedom, higher level learning, maybe some long distance travel for some of you. And it's going to be a big one. We also have Mercury is still there. Mercury now is in a square with Neptune. And let's see what else. There's a lot there. We have obviously the inconjunct with Uranus. So there's some adjusting to change thing in the material world of Taurus. So there's a lot happening. Get ready. Buckle up, Buttercup. December is going to be a big month astrologically. All right, here's the I-Ching, pushing upward. It means the emphasis is on upward motion, a movement from obscurity to influence. That's exactly why we have that hidden square in that summary slide, because it's Pluto. It's the obscurity to outer influence. That's exactly what Pluto is. This reading suggests a period of promotion and prosperity for you. The wise person, Sag is going to be our solution, by the way. The wise person in harmony with fate is sensitive but determined. Boy, that sounds just like Sag. An inner enthusiasm for life is what drives it. We had line 3, obstructions that blocked your path may be falling away. So as the influence, this feels really great. And it's sort of the hidden way. It's like things open up for you, but it's not like you created it. It's came out of nowhere. So, whoa, this is nice. The obstructions fall away, and all of a sudden you're walking through doors that used to be closed. But now let's get into the solution. The solution is organized discipline. Discipline is symbolized by water under the earth. That's what we have where Mars is in water right now and Pluto is in earth. So we have that, astrologically speaking. A vital resource that is available but hidden, requiring effort to access. This is the Mars sextile Pluto. And it starts with the Pluto this week. This potential can be drawn upon in times of need, and once it is accessed and applied, great things can be accomplished with some organized discipline. Now, the most successful leader is not the one who triumphs on the battlefield, but the one who is able through strength and discipline and inner power to achieve consolation without spilling blood. The most effective team marches with a single purpose, a dedication to a lofty goal that is held dear by all. Even with an excess of external discipline, unpopular wars are seldom winnable. Let power be held in check by the willing acceptance of common discipline and the submission to a higher authority for the common good. That is not guilt tripping, folks, because we have a leader that's next. That's not guilt tripping from a selfish leader, because if you hold or aspire to a position of leadership, remember that the true leader captures the hearts of the people by articulating the clear vision that binds them together. So we're going to talk about how we'll break all this down in the solution slide. Don't worry, and put it all together. Modesty and generosity in the leadership can be the magnetic force that keeps the relationship intact. Solidarity is essential for success. Here's our astrological calculator. And we're looking for Pluto, because Pluto has so many things coming for it, but it's starting the seed of inner power. It's clearly the inner powers all through the I-Ching. And so we're at 61 in the rave, and we're in the Sagittarius solution. That's Sidereal Sag. And the gate of mystery is inner truth, the awareness of universal underlying principles. So I'm looking at the red here. This is line 5, influence. And Pluto was at 25 degrees Capricorn. Oop, I got my trivia answer there. Let's do that later. All right. So we're on line 5, and it says, the enlightened father figure whose recognized wisdom and powerful assertion can mold a generation by its influence. The pressure to know that may result in influence and wisdom. This is pretty powerful, Mr. Pluto. And if you remember, the other father figure is Saturn, and there's a nice sextile over there too. So there's opportunities with this father figure / wisdom and powerful assertion by its influence. And, this is the cosmic archetype. So we're not having to be all inclusive with genders. And no, this is the cosmic archetype of father, paternal. They talk about that specifically. We have our times of the divine feminine, but this is more the yang. This is a yang influence, but an informed yang. It's a very wise and powerful yang that's going to mold a generation by its influence. The pressure to know that may result in influence and wisdom. And so making sure that you capture that Kazemi time frame, that 24 hours on Sunday, to get this. This is that sextile over to Saturn is the other father figure to get your wisdom, and Pluto is the ticket because it holds all the subconscious and potentially the upheaval and transformation that is implied here. Okay. Let me read the decrement here. Mars decrement, a tendency in power to want to enforce compliance to ensure lasting influence. You can see that a lot here. What's going on in this world? The pressure in knowing to resent challenges and demand acceptance. So it's just, this is the risk in this influence. You're going to see people who are just demanding compliance just for the sake of compliance, just for the sake of power, manipulation over others. And that's hazardous. That's the decrement, which means it's going to produce problems. All right. Now to the trivia. The next Saturn square Uranus is going to take place January 7th, 2043. So we're looking at 22 years from now. Every 22 years, you might have this square, okay? And then for Christmas energies, so you can sort of plan there, we have the climax of the Saturn square Uranus. That's civil unrest. That's people demanding freedom. That's people not letting those people who want freedom have their freedom. That's civil unrest. And that's going to maximize. That's the climax just before Christmas Eve. And then Pluto and Venus is on the 25th. So those are right together, the upheaval in relationships, deep, massive intensity with others. The massive intensity is coming from Pluto, because Pluto is intense and it's deep and it's hidden and it's subconscious. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because when that goes conjunct on the 25th, Pluto and Venus are going to be on Rave 61, line 6. And old cliches fall on deaf ears. Yes, that's an Aquarian sort of statement. Collective attunes to truth. Yes. Inspired clarity to humanity. Excuse me. So I wanted to point these out because relationships is a big deal. Finance is a big deal. And when we get to the rave around Christmas time frame, there's breakthrough here. Again, might be looking like the end, but it's just the beginning. It's beautiful. All right, let's get into the solution slide. And this is the concept I was getting, this picture of the seedlings growing. This is the sort of the concept I was given for the picture. And it's actually before this. It's the breaking through the soil part. It's on the left. This is where we are. Maybe even before that, where you can start to see the soil breaking and then the sprout coming up. That's the early signs of transformation. So remember, the I-Ching is basically obscurity to influence, period of promotion and prosperity, and harmony and fate. It's a rising up, and it's easier because the obstacles are clearing. That was the line specific to this I-Ching. So be ready for that. And then now, what do we do about it? So we have this ease, this sudden ease, this rare opportunity going into a crazy December. What do we do? So the overlap is pretty clear. A very tight overlap this week with the solution. It's all about wisdom and the resulting influence on a team or a group of people. Remember that Venus thing. Venus is coming in. Like it or not, you're going to be working on the relationships with other people, whether teamwork or romance or work-related stuff. This makes for an absolutely powerful week since we are encouraged by the influence to rise and advance. The solution then instructs us to get organized, to create a strong vision, serve a single purpose. The overlap clearly indicates that a wise, influential leader is needed to best utilize this opportunity. Therefore, spend time in contemplation to ensure your leader is acting in your or our best interest, has all the proper assumptions, meaning that you can make great decisions, but if your underlying assumptions are garbage, if your facts are wrong, then you're going to make bad decisions. So it doesn't matter that it's a good decision. So make sure the underlying assumptions that they are holding to make their decisions are proper, and that your leader clearly articulates their purpose and vision so that you know what the actual objective is. The Sag solution brings bountiful wisdom. Oh, and by the way, some of you are going to be the leader. So this make sure that you're doing this as well. Contemplating that you're acting in the best interest. Making sure that you have the proper assumptions. Question everything you have. Question your facts. Making sure that they're solid. And then you need to be able to clearly articulate the purpose and vision. Those components are essential this week for leadership. The Sag solution brings bountiful wisdom, out-of-the-box thinking, and expansive fire energy. This rare window of opportunity is brought to you currently by Pluto, but will expand exponentially as Pluto perfects its sextile with Mars on December 6th. And then remember, the eclipse is right there. Oh, well, interestingly, the upcoming total solar eclipse stamps this energy in Sag for the next 6 months. So a lot of things going on around that time frame. On the 4th, you have the eclipse in Sag. So wise is there, wisdom is there, expansiveness, freeing attachments, higher level learning is there. And at the same time, this Pluto sextile Mars is making a perfect alignment. So that's going to max out on the 6th. And so that sextile is stamped during the time of the solar eclipse, the polar solar eclipse. But for the next 6 months, we have this growing, rising wisdom and freeing of attachments and the Sag thing over the next 6 months. Powerful, very powerful. But you guys heard it here first. It's going to look pretty ugly the month of December, and try to practice now just being the observer, not the complainer. We know some people who are just sitting there just complaining and not doing anything. This is the time to be rising up and seeing that obstacles are falling away and even prospering. It's part of this rising up. Okay. But check your reasons for it. Right? You don't want to be doing just selfish interest. But you don't want to, we're not collectivists either. We're not just sacrifice everything you have for the greater good. You know, the best interest for you should mean, as according to Ayn Rand, best interest for you is the best interest for the collective. We need a combination of those two. We don't want just one way or the other. We got problems one way or the other. We need a combination of that. That's why we have the leadership, to consolidate people's interests. Hopefully, remember last week when we had just connect, even if it's for superficial reasons. And now we've got that team influence. And now the leader will consolidate the vision and take that group forward. All right, everybody. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for your likes and shares. And thanks so much for the comments. I really love reading about your individual experiences and your opinions. All of them. So don't hold back. Blessings, everybody. Let's get in and transition into December. Gear up. Make sure you're sleeping well, having good energy, because we're going to need it. We're going to need it. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.